Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the data types available in Apache Hive. So let's take a look at that, what data types are available in Apache Hive and what is their purpose. Apache Hive offers two different kinds of data types. One is primitive data types and the other one is complex data type. Primitive data types is mostly used by all user, but in case of complex data type, it's only required for complex computation that you require to do in some specific cases. So if we check what primitive data types offer us, the first branch of this diagram tell us that primitive have numeric. Inside numeric there is integral part and one is floating part. Integral, which offers integer, tiny int, small int, big int. Floating part of numeric data type talks about the decimal values. So we have float in it, double, decimal, and decimal is also associated as numeric data type as well. So let's move to next one. We have time and date data type. In that we can see timestamp, date, and interval. Then we have string data type. Usually string does not available in every database, but Apache Hive does offer us string data type. In most of the databases there are varchar or char. Char mean character and varchar mean variable character. Then the last part of primitive data type is miscellaneous, which talks about Boolean and binary. Boolean or yes or no. In binary we can store the binary data, which will cover clob or blob. Then we have complex data types in which array is being offered by Hive, map data type, struct, and union. These are the data type available in Apache Hive. Now we will see the length and the size of data types which are available to us in Apache Hive. On this deck we can see that numeric data type, first one is tiny int. It starts from -128 to positive 127 and it will store as in 1 byte. Then small int, it have 2 byte structure, then minus 32,768 to 32,767. It's more of 2 raised to power 16. So same goes for int, it's 2 raised to power 32. So it stores as a 4 byte. For big int, 2 raised to power 64. It's stored as a 8 byte. For float, it's 4 byte storage. So it's precision value depending whatever you want to define. Then double stores in 8 bytes. Its precision value goes to 18. And then we have decimal. It's available in newer version of Hive. So it's also store the fraction till 18, but it have the storage capacity with 38.18. So we have a big chunk with that, with decimal. We have time data type in which timestamp is being used, and timestamp data type can store nanomillisecond precision. Then we have date, which we can define as a date. String does have a string, varchar, and character in it. So then we have miscellaneous. In miscellaneous we have Boolean and binary data type. So this is the primitive data types, and it's mostly available in R, in most of the RDBMS. So it's I'm not performing any demo for this one on VM or sandbox available from Hortonworks. We just want to tell you that what data types is available in Hive. because we will be using in upcoming session these data types. So we have some complex data type. I would like to define here, but I would prefer to do some kind of demo on Hortonworks sandbox to tell you how we can use different complex data types, because it's not been used in most of the databases. Only few data types are available, and most of these data types are being used in number of different programming language rather than in a databases. So if we check that, the first type of complex data type is array. Array is being available in most of the RDBMS and most of the programming language. It's the collection of similar data type objects. So if you are defining an integer array can hold number of different integer values, but depends upon the array size. And you can access that array using the array index. Then we have map. Map is a key pair notations which we can use. It will have one is a value which is being used to call that value, which is primitive data type, and the other is the value of that type. So we have here the key pair structure and map, and it's more closer to Java map structure. Next complex data type is struct. Struct is such kind of data type which encapsulate number of different fields. In struct, we can define in that manner that we can define different attributes for a specific object, identify that, like if we take an example of car class in object-oriented programming. It has the attribute color, it has the attribute of mileage tank, it has the attribute of model, it has the attribute of CC. So in case of struct, we can define all these values with different data type in it, and then we can access it by putting dot sign. So this is related to struct. The last complex data type is union. Union is a collection of heterogeneous data types. It's almost similar to struct, but the difference between struct and union, struct usually required every time a new memory allocation with a new object or new record. But in case of union, it's been assigned with a memory. It's try to use that memory again and again rather than getting a new memory space as like struct. And in case of union, you can have struct object also in that class as well. It's more related to class object-oriented programming. Union data type is more closer to C union data type, and struct is also related to C language data type. We will do a separate session for complex data type, data allocation, data insertion, ingestion, and how to access those complex data type in the table. So a separate session will be done for this one. Today we are only given the introduction of these data types. Let's move to next one, what we have. So the last deck of this session is related to how implicit conversion works. A chart has been given that if we start from lower side of it, tiny int can be moved to till number, and small int can move to the number going upside. Int can move to big int, float can move to double can move to number. This is for primitive data type, and same goes for decimal can be converted in string, varchar. String can be converted to varchar and double depending the data is available inside the string is correct, and decimal as well. Varchar can be converted to string, decimal, and double. Then we can convert date into string and varchar, timestamp as date. We can do that. Boolean and binary is usually not been converted to each other, so they are independent. The lower chart of this deck tells us about the white space character in different database. So if we check that what is the behavior of Hive in case of white space. White spaces are those that extra trailing spaces is being added to any field. So how Hive gonna behave it? In case of character data type, it's gonna ignore, and most of the RDBMS character data type is being ignored. Then in case of varchar, it's gonna compare the white spaces. So which mean that in case of Oracle, we do have that that Oracle does compare that. In case of SQL Server, it's a configurable. You can compare. It's a setting that you can turn it on and off. But in case of string, all the white spaces is being compared, but string is not available in Teradata and most of the RDBMS. So white spaces, while ingesting a data, you need to be very careful considering that option, because some of the white spaces comes in it and you did not trim that data, and it can create problem later on accessing that. This is all about today's session. So you can subscribe us on our YouTube channel. You can ask us any question on these social medias and we will try to reply you. Thanks for joining us.